put too much attention on something, you end up creating a lot of resistance within you. And that's why you end up repelling versus attracting what you want. Sajni here. And before I begin this video, I want to quickly announce that you can book your one-to-one consultation for the Reality Revolution program, and you can wait for the detailed announcement towards the end of the video. So with that, let's get right into the video. So today we're going to talk about how putting our goals on a pedestal actually ends up repelling that goal away from us rather than attracting the goal, and why that happens. So let's look at some of the dynamics, the energy dynamics. So first of all, let's look at nature. So if you look around in nature itself, let's say for example the process of the water from the ocean or from the seas or from the lakes, the water evaporates and then goes into the sky and forms a cloud, and therefore it has gained an excess potential for it to now to dissipate. So nature has no option but to dissipate the energy into the form of rain. And so here's a similar example as well. When we pedestalize something or someone, let's say for example you have your partner or you have your boss or you have your friends that you really pedestalize or look up to, or you think them bigger than you, then what you're doing is you're actually radiating your energy out towards and making them bigger. And that's why you end up not holding that magnet of the power or the weight that you can to ground yourself, to ground your own energy. And therefore that lack is created within you when you put that goal away from you or put that person above you. And that's why the lack creates more lack, and therefore the resistance happens, and therefore you end up repelling because there's too much of want energy, there's too much of resistance that's created. And so is similar to that of the goal. So when we pedestalize a goal, a similar thing happens. When we pedestalize the goal, now the goal has created, the goal becomes bigger than us. And when the goal becomes bigger than us, then we end up looking at the goal as something which is very hard, painful or stressful to achieve. So we are not in flow, but we are against the friction of the flow because we have pedestalized and put it outside of us and look at it as something which is very hard. And we all know that whatever hypothesis or the lens that we view reality with, that becomes our reality. So the hypothesis is that here, let's say for example you have a belief. A hypothesis is nothing but the lens or the belief that you have a core belief that you have. And that core belief, let's say for example, is that money is very hard to make, and versus money is very easy and effortless to make. So whichever hypothesis that you radiate to or focus on or attracted to more, that is what you end up pulling that into your reality, because that is what you're radiating as a magnet, as an energy field. And that's what you keep multiplying in your reality. And that's why it's very important to understand that your focus, your attention span or your hypothesis is what you need to understand here. And therefore, anytime you want to be able to achieve a goal, rather than looking at the goal outside of you and looking at it as hard and pedestalizing it, we look at it as it's something which is easy and fun, and embodying that, the person who achieves the goal, and making it fun in the process of it and going with the flow of it, rather than trying to force something which is outside of you. Let's get to the keys of how we can ground our energy to be able to embody the goals rather than pedestalizing our goals and pushing it away from us. Okay? So the key number one is that there is difference between a desire and an intention. Okay? And this will help you make it easy for you to understand this concept. So a desire is something which is focused on the outcome, which is focused on the goal itself or the result itself. And intention is something which is focused on the process or the energy itself. And that's why rather than focusing on the goal, you focus on the intention, you internalize it, you make it a part of you, right? So that's the key number one. The key number one is to understand the difference between the flow of energy within you and the flow of energy when you put it outside, making it higher. And therefore, whenever you have something which is higher than you, then you have to do or have something in order to be worthy of that goal, rather than already having it and working from that place on. Number two is, now instead of looking at the result as a driver, look at the goal or the result as an indicator of for you to version, like a North Star. So that is a North Star. But you don't directly look at it as something outside of you. You look at it as an indicator, but your reflection, your focus should be on your intention or your process of the flow. So that should be your driver. So your intention or your purpose or your clarity is what the energy that you hold is what is moving you. Because at the end of the day, when you embody, because 90% of it is detachment to the result. 90% of your goal achievement is detachment to the result. Why? Because when you embody the energy itself, then it's just a matter of time for that energy or the material to show itself and to reorganize itself and show itself to you in the form that you want. So this is very, very powerful, and this is something that most of us fail to realize and understand. So please pay very close attention to this. The third key is very important. So more often than not, we want to dissolve or we want to let go. For example, we have a lot of attachment to, let's say, for example, you look up to your partner, or you look up to your boss, or you look up to, let's say, even for a matter of position or profile. You want to attain that, and you are radiating it as something higher than you, something bigger than you, something outside of you. And when that happens, that creates a lot of friction or counter intentions or resistance within you, which is of doubt, which is of unworthiness, which is of a lot of fear, which is a lot of uncertainty, and therefore there's a lot of unstable energy. And when that happens, it becomes more and more and more difficult and hard for you to achieve that. You have these counter intentions or these desires or resistance which piles up. One, you change your relationship to those emotions. You let that be, right? Because when we want to let go of that emotional baggage or that emotion that is heavy upon us, and we want to let go of that, the more it becomes difficult because we're trying to push it away. So rather than trying to push it away, we reverse it. So if we go even one step deeper into the concept, rather than letting go, now we let it be. So we change our dynamics towards that emotion, and we let it be, and let it dissolve in awareness. Let it arise in the awareness and let it dissolve in the awareness. So what happens is that in that moment, you change your relationship or energy to that energy. I think it is Mark Mason who wrote in his book that wanting a positive experience or trying to chase a positive experience is a negative experience, but trying to absorb or trying to dissolve or trying to be okay or acceptance of the negative emotion is a positive experience. So that is exactly what we're trying to do. And Alan Watts, also another British philosopher, he mentions this as the backwards law. So this is the backwards law where we go one step further when there is a lot of resistance, when you want something very, very, want something very bad, or which is very important for you right now, or which is very key to you in your life. And that's why you end up creating a lot of desire, a lot of goals, and you have to have that. Or all of those emotions are piling up for you, of all the resistance, doubts, fears. In that moment, you just be aware of those emotions and let that be, rather than pushing it away or getting yourself distracted. Because what that happens is whatever you resist persists. It'll come back doubled or tripled. It'll start to multiply it. Rather than multiplying your resistance, you let it dissolve. Okay, so I'll show you a brief example of how this happens. Let's say, for example, you realize that now there is a friction, or you realize that there is a fear or a doubt that is popped up. Now, there's another emotion that comes up, especially with people with, who practices a lot of manifestation and law of attraction, that, I shouldn't be feeling this way. So now, that feeling of feeling negative, or feeling bad, or feeling that the bad feeling itself is another resistance that pulls up. And then now you feel another emotion pops up with feeling bad for feeling bad. So this is a chain. Now it continues to multiply because the mind works with multiplication and division. So whenever you try to resist something, or you put your focus on something to push away something, the more you try to attract. And I show it multiple times as well. It's the law of energy. It's the it's the energy force. So whenever you're trying to pull something towards you, it always moves back. Nature always tends to push it back. Or whenever you're trying to push something, it'll come back with equal or more power or more force. So that's what we have to bear in mind always, that the moment you experience some emotion, you let that be and let it go. Let it pass, and just Just feel into it, feel through it. You should rather move towards it, because you know that emotion is the ticket to your goal. Because if you're able to overcome that, then you know that you are home. So that is the whole idea, because your expansion is what creates the opening, and therefore it opens you towards the flow of what the nature or abundance or universe is trying to get through to you. Okay, so don't resist what is there. Okay, let that control fade away, and that is the key to dissolve it. Okay, so let's do a quick recap of what we've discussed so far, so that we can summarize it in the most flow manner. So we've discussed that putting anything on a pedestal is something that you are putting bigger than yourself, and you are projecting to your subconscious mind that it is very hard or stressful, or you are going against the tides to achieve it, rather than putting it as part of your intention and part of your process, and putting your head down and putting it as a flow and working towards it, working as it versus working towards it. Right? So rather than becoming a desire focus or the result focus, you become intentional, the process focus. So you put your desire or result only as an indicator, not as your driver. Your driver is you, who drives your processes, your energy, your equilibrium or your balance, your groundedness or your gravity towards what you want. So you ground it in your energy, and it's only the matter of time that those material and that energy will rearrange itself into the form that you want, and it's just a matter of time. So you have to be patient in the process. Okay, so now also we gave the examples of when we try to pedestalize someone, for example, or something, or maybe a position that you want, or some person that you really want to be with, for example. So when you pedestalize a person, you are radiating an energy of lack, and the person is, feels that energy of, that person wants something from me, or wants a validation, or wants the approval, or wants the like, or maybe the position that you want to attain, right? You want to have a promotion in your current profile. So that position that you hold is bigger than you. So now your energy is coming from a place of lack, that I want energy. So that does not deems that you don't hold the magnet, but something outside of you holds the magnet. So you have to do something or have something to be able to be worthy of something, rather than already embody that energy. So this is the key difference of these key heritage principles, which makes a dynamic shift in energy, and therefore makes it effortless. So I'll also give you my example of when I started my journey as an entrepreneurship. There were certain things for me to be able to do, like making this video, for that example. So if I put making video as a pedestal and making it as something hard or unattainable, then it would be a daily grind for me to be able to do this. But what I did was, rather than putting it as something outside of me, bigger than me, I put it as part of my intention, as a part of my process, and try to embody as someone who does this effortlessly. And the more I do it, the more I flow in the process, and look at the indicator of the results, and keep moving with the flow of it. Right? I just look at the results, I look at the dynamics, but that is not something that drives me. The likes and the validations and the approval doesn't like me. My process of delivering value, and my process of expanding my own comfort zone, and to be able to deliver this value, because for me as an entrepreneur, for me as a coach, for me as a person who delivers value, I need to be able to do this effortlessly and make this a part of me, versus trying to put this as something that I need to achieve. Okay, so you get the difference. Okay, so the 4 keys that we talked about is, first is understanding the difference between desire and intention. Desire is result or outcome focus, intention is process focus. So never look at the desire or the outcome. Be detached from the outcome, and only be attached to your own rhythm or your flow. The second thing is, look at the result as an indicator, not as a driver. The third is 90% of your goal achievement is your detachment. The moment you detach from the outcome or the goal, and you put it as part of your energy, or your part of your flow, or part of your own being, then what happens is that dynamic helps the energy to move in a flow movement. It doesn't have any resistance, so it flows. Nature takes the path of least resistance, so it flows effortlessly and rearranges itself in the matter or in the material form that you desire, and therefore you can see it effortlessly manifest, right? And last but not the least, whenever, even if you're trying, because sometimes it is very hard. It's one thing to say to let go, but the other thing is to actually do it. So when we are trying to follow this process, to make it part of our default nature, to be detached and still go on in the process, to make this as a default nature, we need to first go through a certain process and certain steps, and that is one, by dissolving everything that is showing up. So when something shows up in your emotional energy, okay, you take that as a good thing, you take that as a ticket, because now you know that that emotional energy that is showing up is the main key to getting into your goal. So you take that and embody that and feel through it and go move towards it, feel through it and move towards it, rather than trying to move away from it, because move towards it and then you will see it'll start to dissolve in your own awareness. Okay, a large part of our program also deals with the process of letting go, the process of focus, because a focus creates attraction, and therefore focusing on trying to avoid versus focusing on what we want to create is of key importance, and that makes a whole dynamic change of how fast we can manifest effortlessly. Nature then is able to now bring that, because now there is equilibrium in nature, because there is no resistance. When there is no resistance, when you let go and you just go with the flow of the process, then it creates what is called a homogeneity, right? Because if there is inhomogeneity, then the nature, there's a lot of resistance, so the nature cannot get you what you want. The universe is even though the universe wants to deliver you the goals, it cannot, because there's a lot of blocks, lot of contracted energy. And that's why a lot of it has to let go, calm yourself, do the action, and step back. Okay, so I'm going to read a verse from the book Tao Te Ching by the Chinese monk Lao Tzu. Okay, now this is a very powerful book when it comes to letting go and aligning to key heritage principles, which makes you more and more grounded energy. And the more you ground your energy, the more magnetic you become, the more attractive you become, and the more you can effortlessly start to manifest. So let's read verse 64. Okay, so and it pertains to letting go. So verse 64 says, "What is rooted is easy to nourish. What is recent is easy to correct. What is brittle is easy to break. What is small is easy to scatter. Prevent troubles before it arises. Put things in order before they exist. The giant pine tree grows from a tiny sprout. The journey of 1,000 miles starts from beneath your feet." Okay? Rushing into action, you fail. Trying to grasp things, you lose them. Forcing a project to completion, you ruin what was almost ripe. Therefore, the master takes action by letting things take their course. He remains as calm at the end as at the beginning. He has nothing, thus has nothing to lose. What he desires is non-desire. What he learns is to unlearn. He simply reminds people of who they have always been. He cares about nothing but the Tao. Thus he can care for all things. Now Tao is the meaning of the flow. Tao really means, in Taoism, it's the flow or the way of life. It's just like the awareness or consciousness or expansion of consciousness. If you flow with the consciousness of life, then the resistance is not built. The desire creates a lot of resistance. So you just flow with the nature. You hold your intention and flow with the nature, and that's what it truly means. I hope this video was helpful. So if you're new to the channel, do not forget to like, comment, subscribe, and hit that little bell icon so that you can be notified every time I put up a new video. And do not forget to leave me a comment of what you felt about the video. So thank you so much for watching. Until next time. What the Mindset and Reality Revolution program really is it's one of the highest paradigm of manifestation. So there are 3 paradigms of manifestation, which is the having, the doing, and the being. So when we get to the being state, or in quantum physics, it's also called the identity shifting, because everything is in the state of being and becoming. So when we embody the state of beingness, then naturally the having and the doing falls into place. What I realized in my years of understanding and practicing and manifesting and studying neuroscience and quantum physics, what I understood was that it's never about the techniques, because technique is just the doing paradigm, or wanting to having paradigm, because the more you're wanting to have or want or get, the more you're stuck into that loop. The idea is to elevate into that awareness or that beingness state, where things start to fall into place, your ideas start to come. Things start to manifest for you effortlessly, right? Because we learn the principles, or we learn to work with the laws of nature, where we go through the path of least resistance. We understand the universal principles of balancing, of being and doing, action and non-action, effort and surrender. So these are some of the powerful principles which we include in the program that that can help you boost your manifestation, boost your awareness, boost your clarity, boost your productivity. So things start to open up for you. And so the Mindset and the Reality Revolution program is designed in such a way that it helps you to elevate to that state, ideal state, or the being state that you envision to become. And therefore, you effortlessly attract the things that you want to do or have. I'm also super excited to announce that I started the one-to-one interaction for the premium coaching for the Mindset and Reality Revolution program. And so the enrollment link, I'll leave it in the description and in my Instagram bio. So both the links are there. So I can't wait to have an interaction with you and see how we can work together. So I hope to see you there, and thank you so much for watching. Until next time.